Hello everyone and welcome back to Classic Gamer 74. I'm your host Anthony Gamer, and today is part 2 as we review that instant classic, Wrestling Empire. Now, if you haven't seen the first episode, you're going to have to see that before you see this one because you might not know what's going on. So I highly recommend you check out the first one because 1 does come before 2, like Stephanie Harlow likes to say. So in today's episode, we're going to look at some of the wrestlers that I've created. Now, unlike like the current WWE 2K games, they don't give you a whole lot to create with. You kind of got to use your imagination, like we did back in the day, of creating wrestlers. So, with a little imagination, you can tell who some of these people are, and that I'll show you. And then we're going to look at some of the wild and crazy matches that take place during this game. So we got a lot to cover, so without further ado, let's head to the ring.
Okay, so here we are in the game. A couple weeks have gone by since the last episode, and I apologize, work has just been insane. Let me go ahead and show you some of the wrestlers I've created. Now, I've created wrestlers from past and present. Some of the wrestlers I grew up with that I was a fan of, so let's go through each company. Now, Kerry Von Erich was already in the game, so I didn't have to create him, but I did create his brothers. So let's look around here and see who, if anybody in this company I made. Now, here we go. I created Lisa Manifold. She is a member of Blackpink. Yes, I am Blink. Alright, next. Now we're at AAW. Let's see who we got here. I have tweaked a couple too because some of them didn't really look like who they said they were, so I had to do a little bit of work on some of them. But, alright, remember him? Mr. Electricity, Steve Regal. Yep, tweaked that character a little bit so it looked more like him. I was a big fan of his back in the day when I was a kid. Alright, let's keep looking. Okay, I created Gino Hernandez. Many of you are probably familiar with him if you watched World Class Championship Wrestling. He was the handsome half-breed. Unfortunately, we lost him to cocaine, but you know, that's a story for another day. Let's move on. Alright, now we're at Strong Style. Let's see now. Okay, I created Mike Von Erich. Now, he looks a little funky there, I know, and that's because during the course of the game, he was in a tag team with Chris, and promoters and your partner like to have you dress like each other, so yeah, his stats are a little high, but you know, what I'm trying to do in some of these matches, in some of these stories, is just kind of, I guess, fix some things that history, you know, and unfortunately addictions and stuff like that ruins, so, you know, can't blame me for that, so, alright, and again, this is one of those characters, the generic characters, if you ever want to customize someone that's not an actual wrestler, you know, he's one. Let's see, continuing on. Alright, many of you that watch AEW, like myself, screw WWE, this is Blue Sky. She is an active woman wrestler for AEW. Hopefully she'll get a win sometime soon. Let's continue. Anyone else here? Nope. Alright, let's go to Japan, Rising Sun. Like I said, you can start off the game in all kinds of, you know, with people together, and they'll kind of, within a few years, they're all over the place. So, here's one. I created Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks. Pretty good. And then I created Kevin Von Erich, Shoeless. Continue. Cody, yeah, that turncoat, he's that sellout, he's there. He came with the game. I sure wouldn't wouldn't have created him if I could have. I tweaked Virgil a little bit because he didn't look much like Virgil. He looked kind of more like Isaac Hayes, so I did a little work on that. Canyon, I had to work on him a little bit because he didn't look much like the real Canyon. God rest his soul. Let's continue. We see anybody else. Yep, of course. I created David Von Erich. Even got the shorts, like he wore. And yes, he did become world champion several times on this game, like he would have done if he'd lived. Alright, let's go to Maple Leaf. Let's see, I had to tweak Jim Cornette a little bit because they had him pretty much bald, so I had to make him look a little more like Jim Cornette. Alright, let's see. I created one of my all-time favorite wrestlers from when I was a kid, Barry Windham. Of course, many of you probably know that he had a massive heart attack and he's in the hospital. I'm not sure if... I haven't heard any updates, and I don't really know if the GoFundMe is still going. I contributed. Please check it out and help out if you can. It'd be greatly appreciated. Alright, so we're continuing. Let's see. Hope I don't forget anybody. I tweaked Jeff Jarrett a little bit because it also didn't look much like him. Glad to see he's part of the AEW family. He came with the game, sorry. Ah, yes. Another member of Blackpink, the greatest K-pop group of all time, Rose Park. Excuse me. Let's see. And of course I had to create my favorite female wrestler, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Yep. Alright. Anybody else? Nope, let's move on. We're at Super Lucha Libre, and at this point there are very, very few luchadors even still in this company. Alright, so I had to tweak Brian Lee a little bit because it looked nothing like him, but I fixed him up a little bit. Let's see. Thug, that's another one of those generic characters you can mess with if you want. I created one of the Moondogs, Moondog Cujo. If you were watching USWA in the early 90s, the Memphis territory, he was one of the Moondogs. Fun fact, in case it ever comes up in a trivia, he also played Cousin Jr. and Cousin Luke in WWE at the time, when Hillbilly Jim brought in his so-called relatives. Alright, so let's keep going. Kenny Omega, he's in the game. He rules, of course. Kenny Omega is awesome. Tori Wilson, Rick Steiner, still looking. Anyone I may have cleaned up or... Oh yeah, here we go. Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks. As you can see, he and his brother are on separate shows now. Yeah, that Sasha Banks doesn't look anything like her. I had to work on that. Alright, we're on Federation Online. Let's see who we got here. Did I? No, I was going to, but I didn't. Tweak him a little bit. I was going to. Alright, I made... Okay, here's one. I made Gentleman Chris Adams. He was one of my favorite wrestlers as a kid. Yep. We're still going. He's another generic. Actually, no, that's actually Suzuki, that guy that was Jushin Liger's last opponent, but I didn't get a chance to. I forgot to change that. Especially, he's another generic wrestler that comes in the game. Yes, Jenny Kim, another member of Blackpink. My bias. Hart. Alright, that covers that. Let's move on to Weekend Warriors. I tweaked Hogan a little bit because they had him with a full head of hair and his outfit was a different color, so I messed with that a little bit. It's just amazing, all the wrestlers on this game. I mean, there's so many. Let's see. That's another generic wrestler there that you can customize and make someone else. And GC Kim. Yep. My second bias. Also from Blackpink. I think that covers all 4 of the members now. And they are doing quite well in the game. Yes, Hikaru Shida. My second most favorite wrestler on AEW. That is her. And she is thriving. Hopefully they'll put the belt back on her in real life. Alright, Jake Hager. Let's see. Ken Ryu. That's another generic character, I think. I created, remember him, Skandor Akbar. It was a little hard to get the outfit right. I did the best I could. But that's him, you know, the manager of Devastation Incorporated. That was world class, UWF, USWA. Great heel manager, but also a great person in real life, too. Sadly, we miss him. Alright, continuing. Yep. That is somebody they created. Vince Lesnar. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Alright, Wrestling School. Where you could technically start off the game if you want. I tweaked Demolition Smash because he basically had the same makeup as Hawk and Animal, so I did a little bit of work there on him. Okay, Brody, Larka, another generic character. Feel free to tweak him as well. That's right. This guy here, Stumpy, he was an independent wrestler. I think he's still active. I got to see him, oh god, it was so many years ago, at a show, at a indie wrestling show. I think he's still out there. A few years ago he was. I hope he's doing well. Okay, you can see I also tweaked him a little bit. You know, Axe. So, alright, let's move on. Now we're at Hollywood. This is where the wrestlers retire to. And this is where some of them have gone after, you know, the careers are finished. I made Stone Cold look like Stone Cold because they kind of had him look like Stunning Steve Austin. You know. Alright. Andre. Didn't I? Well, yeah, don't look at that. That was, again, something else that they had the character do. Some of those goofy promoters. Also, I had to fix the Ultimate Warrior because he didn't quite look much like him. At least the makeup was wrong, so I had to fix that. Okay. Of course, Orange Cassidy. Any of you that watch AEW know who he is. Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. Yep. This was supposed to be like me, but then, yeah, as you can see, before I retired the character, I was in a tag team with The Undertaker. So, alright. I created Tom Billington, because at one time I was going to try to have both British Bulldogs, but Davey Boy kept getting injured, so... Okay. Oh yeah, I had to create Adam Cole, baby. Hopefully we'll see him back in action real shortly. Okay, here's Chris Von Erich. Yeah, the youngest Von Erich. I kept him the same size that he was, but, you know, made him like a high flyer. You know, in a perfect world, that's what he would have been, so. Okay, the Legends. Let's see who we got here. Stephanie, I told you about some of them passing away. Okay, I made Moondog Spot. The other Moondog, he was kind of sort of a jobber in WWF in the 80s before he made it really big in USWA as part of the Moondogs there. I created Terry Taylor. Many of you that watched UWF and WWE and WCW. Remember him? Yeah, I know the pants aren't right, but that was a promoter's idea, not mine. And Davey Boy, I tweaked him a little bit, but like I said, you can see he got injured a lot. Look at those stats. So I ended up having to retire him before he died. And that's everyone then. Alright, so let's get into the matches. Besides these crazy match types, you can make your own. Be as creative as you like. And this first match is the barbed wire match. Many of you probably remember seeing this match between Sabu and Terry Funk. It's just as violent as you think it is. Lots of blood, lots of gore, fun for all. And next up we have the beer bottle match. This is pretty much like a hardcore match, except that you have beer bottles and you can hit each other with them and you can drink from them. Word of warning though, that if you drink beer, your energy goes down but your momentum goes up. And next up we have the cage death match. In this one, you and your opponent or opponents basically beat the hell out of each other. Instead of ring ropes, you have barbed wire. Oh, and they explode too, and you're inside a cage with weapons. Oh yeah, lots of fun for us people who really miss ECW. Alright, this is a cheeseburgers and stools match. Yeah, so you can't really hit the people with the stools, but you can put them through it. You can also use the cheeseburgers as weapons or regain energy with them, but don't eat too many cheeseburgers. One thing I have to give Matt Dickey credit for is he has some really cool weapons that you can use in this game. This is an explosion match. You have a little collection of dynamite there, and you bash your opponent over the head with it, and eventually it'll blow up, and pretty much blow up your opponent and you if you're not careful. And next up we have a hospital bed match. In this one, it's pretty much like a hardcore match, and except for tables, you put them through the hospital beds. If you wander around on this game, you probably have gone to the hospital and you see those beds there. Yep, that's pretty much what you do. Just put your opponent through the beds. And next up we have the Iron Man match. Now, those of you that have been wrestling fans for a long time are probably familiar with this one. You have a set amount of time, and whoever gets the most falls during that time period is the winner. Probably one of the most well-remembered is the 60-man Iron Man match at one of the WrestleManias between Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart. And that brings us to the Last Man Standing match. Now, these used to be really cool before WWE went totally lame. In this one, you beat the hell out of your opponent and you tried to keep them down for a count of 10. Kind of like a wrestling match, but with weapons. I mean, kind of like a boxing match, but with weapons. Yep, you basically just try to beat the hell out of your opponent so they cannot answer the 10 count. Fun had by all, except the loser. And here we have the Hardcore Battle Royal. Now, in this one, I put a bunch of legends in there. This one is not like your Royal Rumble where you throw the guy over the top rope, although they do have something similar to that. Of course, they can't use the word Royal Rumble, but this is a Battle Royal, kind of similar to what you had on the WWF WrestleFest game, except for this one is you have weapons and you try to pin or submit or beat your opponent by countout. Yeah, this can get really brutal, and this is a match where somebody is either going to be injured or possibly killed. And this is the Christmas Chaos match. This match was added close to around Christmas time this past year in an update. It's like a hardcore match, but the ring and the outside are surrounded by nicely wrapped Christmas presents, and if you open those presents, sometimes you get a pretty cool weapon. Other times the packages just don't open and you can use them as a weapon. Really a cool match. Sometimes snow falls to complete the atmosphere. Really fun, I tell you. I've had some great matches using this format that was added. Very cool, very unique. Okay, this is a sumo match. Now, in this match type, the ring ropes have been taken away, and your opponent is to just simply chuck your opponent out of the ring. That's it. You don't have to. Of course, there are rules that you're not allowed to use weapons, but your objective is just like a regular sumo match. Just throw the guy out of the ring. Pretty short matches. Usually, these ones are said and done within about 5 minutes. Usually, maybe less. Essentially, what we have here is a TLC match, but you can't call it that because I'm sure WWE has trademarked it. You know, they should just trademark sucky wrestling. But anyway, in this match, they call it a furniture match, and you have all kinds of cool furniture at your disposal to beat your opponent with and put them through the table. One cool thing about this game is when you break a table, you can pick it up and move it, and it magically goes back together again, which is really cool. Yeah, definitely one of the highlight matches from this game. One that you will probably be in many times if you play. Alright, and this is a vending machine match. This one, I think, came with an update because I hadn't seen it until just recently. And it's like your typical hardcore match, except you got vending machines out there. And yeah, you can throw them into it, and they do sometimes explode. So, oh yeah, this is really a lot of fun. A lot of times, though, the vending machines take quite a few hits before they like crash or explode. But man, yeah, it's pretty cool, and you can really bang the hell out of your opponent in this one. And our final match today is a women's hardcore battle royal, except for this time, the match is not taking place in an arena. It's taking place in an office. Yep. You can pretty much have matches just about anywhere you want in this game. It's limited only by your imagination. So, before I go, I'm going to let you in on a little surprise. I am going to upload some of the cool matches that I have had on this game, including recreating some famous matches, and I'm going to be putting them on my Patreon. So, if you'd like to see some of those great matches that I've had on this game in their entirety, the only way to see them will be on my Patreon. And remember that you can be a $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month donation, and it doesn't matter which amount you pledge, you will get access to all the cool stuff that I have on my Patreon. So make sure and check that out, and I hope you enjoy. In our next episode, in observance of Black History Month, we are going to pay tribute to the great game programmer, visionary, and just overall electronics genius that was Jerry Lawson.
Well, that brings this episode of Classic Gamer 74 to a close. I really hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, let me know by giving me a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to click that little bell icon down there so you'll be notified when I upload new material for this channel and for some of my side projects as well, including Magic Gamer 74, where I discuss my favorite collectible card game, Magic the Gathering. Also, connect with me on all my social media platforms. You'll find them in the description below as well. And please help me out on Patreon. I got some really cool stuff on there that you're not going to find anywhere else. It doesn't matter what level of a patron you are, you will always get access to all the cool bonus stuff. So please be generous and help me out on Patreon. The link is in the description below. Well, until next time, this is Anthony Gamer. I hope you all have a great week. Until I see you again, be strong, be safe, be happy, be healthy, and above all, take care of each other, be kind to each other, and stop hate of all kinds. See you soon. Bye, everyone.